I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. So lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to a very serious subject that's kind of overlooked by the mainstream media, and we're going to certainly shine a light on it tonight. But before we get on to the subject of human trafficking, let me just say first that YouTube have put my Loving Life channel in the naughty box again for a week for simply confirming that Australia now has issues with the AstraZeneca vaccine. They call it medical misinformation. In a word, it is infuriating. Now, I noticed on the side chat a couple of people made the comment that the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, died a few hours ago, leaving Queen Elizabeth a widow. And yes, that's been confirmed, and perhaps YouTube will find that to be medical misinformation and give a strike for that. Who knows? I mean, they're just absolutely crazy. Now, I'm not sure if Charlotte Smith is here, but I might put this out later because I've got Beatrice's phone number. I know she's trying to make contact with him. Okay, I don't think she's here at the moment, so I'll put that out later. Now, please remember to register on lovinglifetv.com and our exciting new forum. Right, I'm going to get our guests on. Our guests tonight are Bianca Dormel and Tracy King, and they are both from the Vroue Krag, it's called, which Vroue Krag in English means women power, basically. Okay, let's get Tracy on first. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Scotty. How are you doing?
Excellent, thank you. Excellent.
Good, good.
Great. I'll just get Bianca on, and then we're all set to go.
Great stuff.
Okay, here we go. Now, while we're just waiting for my issues, just come. That was quick. Hi, Bianca.
There we go.
Hi, Bianca.
Hello. Are you there? Hello, Bianca. Hey.
Bianca, can you turn your camera on?
I did. What's the story?
Oh, you had it on, then you turned it off.
I'm sorry, I'm confused with these things.
That's
Eh?
okay.
Let me do it. Okay, there, go on. It's on.
There it is. Nighttime. Okay.
Okay, let me just go on my phone. My laptop is giving trouble.
Okay. Well, let's start the topic off. I'm going to start with you, Tracy.
All right.
Now, human trafficking has been going on since forever. It's like
Well,
prostitution. It's just forever.
it's one of the oldest trades in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And what are the reasons for human trafficking?
There's several, Scotty. The one of the biggest ones is sexual exploitation. That is when they capture or kidnap children and youth. A lot of people say that it's just women and children, but boys are used as well, and they're used for sexual slavery, for pornographic and sort of snuff movies, and sex work and prostitution. So it's one of the oldest professions, sorry, in the world, apart from prostitution. Another big one is organ trafficking. After that, I would say that labor exploitation, um, particularly in, I would say, mostly Africa, you have the issues where kids are kidnapped or taken from their families to be used in armed forces. So they're used as cannon fodder and spies and frontline fighters, basically. The other reason for it is especially children and young women are used
Tracy,
as
could you
drug
hold a
mules.
second, please?
Yes, sure.
There's someone who's playing. Bianca, are you going into different areas on Skype?
No, I'm just sitting here listening to you guys.
Well, I don't know who's. Someone seems to have tapped into our Skype because they're sharing screens and doing stuff.
Oh, no, I don't play. I don't know a lot
Okay, yeah,
about this.
I don't know why it's doing that. Just so everybody watching knows that it's definitely not Tracy, it's definitely not Bianca, and it's definitely not me. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to cancel this call and call you both back because there's something very weird happening on the screen with this call.
Okay, fine.
I'll be back to you in about 30 seconds.
Right,
Okay.
you are.
Sorry about that, guys, but you all witnessed what happened, and it wasn't Tracy and it wasn't Bianca, so I don't know what was going on there. Welcome back, Tracy.
Thank you.
Let's see if this time it works properly. I'll just get Bianca on. And
Okay.
Okay. So, sorry, yeah, we were talking about the reasons for human trafficking.
Okay, why do I keep losing the picture? Okay, there we go.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that because I lost the picture on my side. Yes, so armed forces kidnap kids and young youths, especially to work in their guerrilla forces from one point of view, armed forces from another point of view, and they're used as spies or frontline fighters and cannon fodder, basically. Then you've got the illegal practices where, especially sort of teenagers into the 20s, they are used as drug mules, and then the young youth, probably I would say from about 10, are used in sort of syndicates of pickpocketing and burglaries as well.
Right.
Then you've got your baby infant farming, as they call it, where they have young ladies in forced pregnancies and producing babies. And this is done for organ trafficking, illegal adoptions, child labor, and sex slavery eventually. And then, of course, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about adrenochrome. A lot of babies are used to harvest adrenochrome.
Tell us about
And
adrenochrome.
adrenochrome is it's a hormone that is harvested from blood, and that blood is harvested from people. When I say people, I mean young people, and sort of, as I discussed earlier with you, into their 20s, where they are tortured to such an extent that their bodies generate high levels of adrenaline. And this is farmed, and adrenochrome is sold to the elite because it's considered a youth-giving formula. So people who take adrenochrome, so it's claimed, they stay young.
They live longer.
And they live longer, yes.
Now just on this adrenochrome, do they inject that into their veins, or what do they do?
It comes in various forms. I know that one of them is in powder form. So it can be turned into tablets or capsules and injections. Yes, definitely.
This is disgusting.
This world is disgusting, Scotty.
Right. You know,
I'll be honest
think
with
of George Soros. You know, that scumbag who's runs Open Society Foundation. I could see him living off adrenochrome if it's going to make him live longer.
Well, here's a shocker for you. I would say about 90%, this is off the cuff from my research that I've done on adrenochrome, 90% of Hollywood is on adrenochrome. And then you'll find that the super elite use adrenochrome. George Soros, most definitely, I'm sure. You know, obviously I can't prove it. This is my personal opinion and what I've got from the research that I've been doing on adrenochrome and sexual slavery worldwide in the last year.
Wow.
Adrenochrome really came to light around March, April last year. It came to light. And this was all thank you to Donald Trump. It was part of his investigations that he started doing, and adrenochrome came to the fore. It's a horrific thing, and this is why children and women are trafficked. You know, this is one aspect of it, and this is where organ trafficking comes in, illegal adoptions, and satanic or ritualistic sacrifices.
Oh, wow. Now, Bianca, I saw you nodding your head. Is there something you'd like to add about this subject?
Yes, just from my point of view, I spent some time in KZN, and as we know, KZN is the Zulu country, and the horrific stories that comes out from people with regards to the organ harvesting for these ritualistic practices they have is totally, it's mind-blowing that they would actually take human organs and have a ritual because their ancestor says this is how they have to do it. That's one big thing also for human trafficking, and human trafficking is part of that.
Wow. You know,
yes.
I just can't get over the depravity of man. You know, it's just I can't imagine. Okay, let me tell you what I've heard. I've heard stories of young white women in squatter camps selling their young children to human traffickers so that they can buy drugs. Now, do they have any idea what those kids are going to be put through?
Scotty, you know what? They don't care. They
No,
don't care
it's
as long as they can get their next fix. And I can tell you this
yes,
much, these women will continue producing and continue doing that to support their
yes,
drug habit.
because it's easy money.
And that is the reality, yeah. And that
It's
is the
easy,
reality of it.
So,
yeah,
so,
and they sell
so what you're
what
saying,
the
Bianca, what you're saying,
mm,
Bianca and Tracy, but I'll put this question to Bianca. What you're saying is that these women are actually complicit in human trafficking because they know that their babies are going to be used.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes, and also, you know that when there's a person with AIDS, it is believed that if you rape
Yes, I've heard
a
that.
virgin,
Yeah.
A
that you
young
will be
baby.
cured.
Yeah.
If you rape a baby, you will be cured, and that happens so much. It's unbelievable how many little girls gets raped because this oak has AIDS, and he believes that if he has sex with her, he will be cured from AIDS, and
Wow.
the mother sells babies off to for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's absolutely shocking. Anything you'd like to add to that, Tracy?
No, I absolutely agree with her. And coming back to what you were saying about your shock at the depravity of the world, Scotty, you have absolutely, I don't think most people have an idea of what's truly going on. You know, you only start really finding the stuff out if you start doing the research yourself. And I've spent hundreds of hours researching all these kinds of things. And I had to take a break for a few months because I was about to have a mental breakdown
Oh,
because
wow.
it is so horrific. And I'm an incredibly strong person. I have been through hell in my life and nothing really shocks me. But when I started really digging into this, I had to take a few months off because it was just too much. It is mind blowing. It literally blows your mind. You cannot
Yes, I agree.
believe how evil mankind has become. And this is under the auspices of the cabal, the elite.
Yeah.
We go back to George Soros and his ilk. These are the people that are ultimately responsible for what is happening on Earth today and in the world. And unfortunately, the victims are young children, young women, and even young boys.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
terrible. It's horrific.
once a year,
Yes,
the elite get together in this, it's like a secluded valley, and they have
Yes,
this satanic ritual. It's called the
yes,
Bilderbergs, and you know it
that's right.
involves a whole lot of people that you hear of every day in the media. You know, people like Bill Gates and George Soros, and yeah, and so on, including American presidents and secretaries of state and
Yeah,
stuff like that. And they all
and
sit,
the royal family.
and the royal family, and they all sit around during this evening performance where satanic rituals are performed, and apparently they actually uh, sacrifice a young baby on the
Yes,
altar there. You know,
yes,
this sort of stuff is happening, but you know, the media don't talk about it. If I dared put this up on YouTube, I would have the video taken down like that.
yes.
You know that it is absolutely depraved. Now, um, okay, I'm going to put this question to Bianca. Bianca, tell me the facts about human trafficking in South Africa. What are the major facts about human trafficking in South Africa?
the major facts in human trafficking. We cannot give you stats. This is the sad part of all the research we've been doing the last few weeks. Um, there is no statistics on Stats SA for us to give you numbers. It's been taken down. Um, any sexual abuse, any porn, anything with human trafficking. So we cannot give you stats. But what we can tell you is it comes from people that's poor, that's selling off their children. We can tell you that these people sit on Facebook and social media and they're shopping for children.
Oh,
They have a
wow.
list. They have a list of what they're looking for. It's like you shopping at Pick and Pay. They have a list and they're sitting on Facebook, and we as innocent parents post our pictures of our children, of our young women, of our young men on those pages, and we go and we tag where we are. And this is how they kidnap the children, the women, the boys, the young men, and this is how they get hold of them. This is exactly how it happens. And then you get the other part of it where mothers are selling off their babies because they are drug addicts. And anything possible to get their next fix. So the kids get sold off, and that's that. Human trafficking in South Africa is actually a really big thing, and it's very dangerous to go into that. But we as Vrokrag want to make people aware. We want to teach people how to prevent all of this stuff. You know, don't post your pictures on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever. Leave your kids where they should be, at home, and not on the social media, because social media is actually playing such a big role in all of this, and people don't realize. They just don't realize, you know. So that is my message to everybody, is that stop putting your pictures up. I know you're proud of your daughter and you're proud of your son and you're proud of this. Stop doing that, because there's some man or woman sitting on the other side of a computer, and he's looking at your child and he's going to try and kidnap your child. I don't know if you guys saw the video like a month or two ago about that child that was taken from her mother's arms in a restaurant in South Africa.
Yes, I did.
Yes. So that is how it happens. That's how quickly it happens. And my job in this is to let people know, be careful what you put out there about your children. Be careful what you share with the world, because the world is an evil place.
You know,
Okay, can I,
yeah, please
may I
go ahead,
interject
Tracy.
here? Carry on about facts of human trafficking. Um, uh, Human trafficking in South Africa is predominantly operated by syndicates.
Yes.
One of the biggest, the two big syndications in the country that are Chinese. They're Chinese syndicates, and then you have your Nigerian syndicates. There are other syndicates, but these are the two predominant syndicates in South Africa. So that is one fact. Another fact is that most of the women and children that are kidnapped and trafficked from South Africa actually go to Europe and Asia. It's a huge subject. It really is. The law in this country does not facilitate the prosecution of human trafficking in this country. There is no specific law that can prosecute people specifically for human trafficking. If somebody gets caught, they will get prosecuted for sexual offences. And it's a huge problem. The South African law enforcement agencies have been trying to investigate and prosecute, and it's almost impossible for them to do so. There have been some cases where members of syndicates have been caught and they have been prosecuted, but not to the fullest extent of what we should consider the law. You know, they get off with a few years for sexual exploitation, but not for human trafficking. A large part of our trafficking goes through Lesotho, Mozambique and up the coast, but also on container ships. They get put into containers and shipped.
Now just on those container ships, Tracy, I've heard that they might put, like, say, 200 young children in one container, and by
Yes.
the time they get to Asia, there might be only 3 or 4 still alive.
That's
Yes.
right, because they don't feed them, a lack of oxygen.
They don't get food, they don't get water.
No water, nothing, and they're just left in these containers for weeks, and they're living in their own soiled, feces and urine and that kind of thing. And it's horrific. The conditions are horrific, and they don't care, because even if they only get 3 or 4 out of a batch, there's more coming. And the problem in South Africa, and I think the world as well, human trafficking is not such a, you pointed out earlier that there's not much information about it, and that it is a very, very hush-hush subject. People do not talk out about it due to fear. Fear is a huge thing. These syndicates are not stupid. If they get a sniff in the nose about someone who is going to expose them, they quickly hunt them down and take them out. It's nothing for them to do that.
That's that easy, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now there's just something that's come across my mind while you were talking there. There was that guy Epstein in the United States who had that island, Jekyll Island, where they used to take the young kids and
that's right.
Sexually abuse them.
Epstein Island.
Yeah,
that's correct.
And a lot of very, very wealthy people used to get on his plane, fly to the island, have a great time with these young kids, and then come back home, and nothing was ever done about it. Now, I heard a report that CNN were given all the evidence of this happening, and
they clamped down on it.
From the top, they said, no, you're not allowed to talk about that. This
That's
is what's going on with the fake news.
Dangerous, yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
People are fearing for their lives.
Scotty. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. It was said that he committed suicide, but
he was murdered.
There is no. I believe that he's still alive. Okay, that's just my personal opinion, and he's feeding information on all the others. But he will be murdered at some stage. I have seen the photographs and videos from the FBI of of Epstein Island, and there is one. It's in a pyramid formation. In the center of that is an altar where they sacrificed these children after having abused them. While they were being abused and tortured, adrenochrome was being harvested at the same time.
Oh, wow. I mean, these
and
people
then
are
obviously
depraved.
The bodies were just thrown into the ocean, They didn't have to bury the bodies. They just threw them out into the ocean, and the predators in the sea did the job for them of cleaning up. And he's just one of very many. He's one of many. There have been royal members been implicated. There have been government. Yeah.
Yes.
There have been presidents implicated. Oprah Winfrey was implicated. Now that's another issue. Girls disappearing from Oprah Winfrey's school here in South Africa, and the abuse that these girls suffered. Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't really investigated as to what has happened to the school, and this is something I will be investigating.
Because she's got a school
as
in
I said,
Kokstad.
I think that was in Kokstad or in Bloemfontein. I'm not 100%.
Kokstad, yeah. Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
So I will be looking into that. Like I say, this is a huge, huge, huge topic, and it's been suppressed by mainstream media, by government officials, by the syndicates. So it's very difficult to find information. I was given basically, look, I've always been sort of involved with human trafficking to a certain extent, but I've never really researched human trafficking in South Africa. And I'm still busy researching, so there will be follow-ups in terms of my investigations that I'm going to get into. But It's horrific, and these are the facts about trafficking in South Africa. You've got your labor, forced labor, where the rural community get lured by these syndicates saying we can give you jobs and it's good money, and they get these people and they force them into labor.
Yes.
Whether it's in factories or on farms. I'm not talking about white farms, I'm just talking farms in general. In the towns, as domestics, as you name it. So that's another aspect of human trafficking in South Africa, that it's not just people being trafficked out of the country, but people that are being trafficked
Inside
within
the
the
country,
country
yeah.
as well. Absolutely. You
I
have
also think
these
and it also has a
bordellos
lot
with the
to do with
prostitution.
our
Yeah.
poverty rate in South Africa,
Yeah,
because people are so hungry and people have absolutely nothing in their lives that they will do anything just to put a plate of food on the table, or have a bowl of pop, and that's one of the also. Sorry, my phone's dying. So that's also one of the reasons they will do anything. And then, they get into this low labor thing, and exploit it to the point where they lose themselves and they don't know who they are anymore. And sad but true. This is what's happening in South Africa.
Yeah, well, it's sad and true. I'm going to have to, after we finish this live stream, I'm going to have to save it on our new platform, which is lovinglivetv.com, because we're speaking the truth about human trafficking. And of course, YouTube censor anything that goes against their community standards. And because we're talking about a subject that involves obviously people high up in Google, they don't want anything like that coming
They're
out.
going to shoot us down. Yes.
Yeah.
They're going to shoot us down, and that's the sad part, because we want to make people aware of what's going on in our land, and we want to have parents and grandparents and aunties and uncles open their eyes so that they can just be vigilant about this stuff. And the sad part is that we can't post it anywhere because it will be taken down.
Yeah, well, look, it won't be taken down from lovinglivetv.com, I can tell you.
It's
going to be.
No, this we know.
This is what's so
this
awesome.
we
Yeah.
know.
Well, this is why I set up this new platform, and I've got a great team working in the background who are helping me with it, because on YouTube, I continually get community strikes because I cover subjects that they deem to be, offending the community, when basically they don't want that to come out, so they censor it. It's quite extraordinary.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
the internet
it
never
is,
used to be like this. Now, okay, let's
no.
get back to the subject, and I want you to respond to this, Tracy.
Yes.
When we talk about human trafficking in South Africa, just like the ANC leadership are corrupt in every which way you can think of, I have heard that the ANC government are personally or are involved in the human trafficking that goes on in South Africa.
Scotty, yes. Unfortunately, I don't have proof of that. So I could be lambasted for saying this. But yes, we believe that government officials, right down to SAPS, you name it, are involved with it. And what's shocking is that, the South African police services, they're supposed to be to protect and serve. And I know for a fact that you have child protective services and you have the Childline. You can never get through to them. Their response time can be 24 to 48 hours before they actually respond. It is shocking, but this is the ANC. This is the government that we have in place. They are getting away with murder, literally. And they have brainwashed the majority of this country into believing that they are the saviors and they are going to save the country. But for, what's it now, 25 years, 26 years. What have they done? It's just been false promise after false promise after false promise. And the majority of the country still believe what comes out of the ANC mouth. Now, we all know that this country, this government is corrupt. And yes, definitely they are involved with human trafficking. You've got to think about how do they get these containers out of the ports, which are supposed to be searched. How do they get them through borders? Now, we all know that South Africa has a porous border. I mean, you can cross the border anywhere.
Yeah.
But this is all part of what is going on in this country with human trafficking.
Now, Anari du Plessis, I'll cross to you in a second, Bianca. Anari du Plessis runs an organization called Go Purple, and she deals a lot with a lot of kids who've been abandoned or who have been abused by parents and stuff like that. And she says that social services in South Africa are just absolutely shocking.
Right.
I mean, they
Exactly.
just they basically don't exist. And she goes on to say that in a recent case, the social service person had the father put in prison when it was actually his ex-wife's partner who was abusing the child, and then gave the child back to the ex-wife with the abusive partner. That was just one example of what's going on at that level in South Africa.
Yes.
Bianca,
Yes,
over to you.
Scotty, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm aware of one of our subdivisions in Trafficking is it's called Lief and Leed. In that division, we are working with abused women and children. And currently, right now, as I speak now, there's a case of a man that was sexually abusing little ones. And the lady that was trying to get him or get the police to do something about this had to go back to the police station to report him 7 times. 7 times she had to go back and beg them to please investigate this man. Eventually, on the 7th time, they arrested him, and there was 5,000 photographs of different children found that he had molested or had things with him, and that's how bad it is. That's how bad it is in
Wow, that is shocking.
Yes.
Now, Tracy, you were wanting to say something?
Well, I was going to come down to the so-called orphanages that are run by the state, where children in abusive homes or abandoned children are taken. And these are run by so-called social services and appointed officials to run it. They're given the necessary funding, and what's happening is that the people who are physically running the orphanages are using the money for their personal gain and not putting it into the orphanage. So the orphans there are neglected, they are continually abused, and quite frankly, probably there's a certain percentage that get trafficked from these orphanages. Again, my opinion, but this is the feeling that I get within my research that I am coming up with, and from stories that I have heard from people that I've spoken to. So across the board, Scotty, unless organizations like myself, not myself, I beg your pardon, Trafficking, there are a couple of other internationally funded projects where they are they're involved in helping human traffic victims and investigating and preventing all this kind of jazz. There are a couple of projects going, but it's not enough. It's not enough. We need support. And the only sport that I can see that we're going to get is international, because that is more or less where the money is. There's not much money in this country that's available for this. But again, human trafficking is not a South African problem, it's a worldwide problem.
Wow.
So it's mind-boggling.
But the South African situation has really created a perfect storm for human trafficking, because the actual Justice Department is a complete and utter disgrace.
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Well, it's a disgrace from the ground up.
Wow.
It's a hopeless case from the ground up in terms of governmental assistance and governmental involvement and legal involvement and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It's just gone through the window, you know. So it's a very tough subject. It's a huge problem, and it's going to take a lot of help from all aspects and all walks of life, people from all walks of life getting involved and helping.
Yeah. Now, the Minister of Social Affairs in South Africa is a complete and utter disgrace. But let's get on to these syndicates. How do they operate? How do these human trafficking syndicates operate? I'm going to ask Bianca that question first, and then I'll go over to Tracy.
All right.
As far as I know, like I said, they go on a shopping spree. They look for these different orders. I hate using that word, but that's exactly how they see it. They go onto these different. They go onto social media. They have. I had a case earlier this week where there was a webcam, and that's how they got the child. They go onto a different social media, especially social media platforms. They go shopping, and they decide, okay, I want you. The order is for a blonde child with blue eyes. I'm going to go fetch that blonde child and with the blue eyes. They will start following you. They will find out where you stay, how they do that. I'm ignorant to that fact. And maybe Tracy can answer that. They go shopping, they find the child, they start following you in your car, when you go to school, when you go to the shopping center, they follow you, and they see that they learn your habits. They learn your routine. And the minute you look away, they will catch that child. In other instances, children get sold to them, plain and simple. They get sold off. Young women, young children, young men, they just get sold off because the use of that particular human being is no longer needed, and I can get something back. This is the culture of South Africa. If I give you something, you give me something. This is the culture of South Africa, and they're doing that with human beings. That's plain and simple how it works.
Wow. Now, I've heard that when they abduct a child, let's say a woman's sitting in a car and they grab the child out of the car, that child will go through up to 6 pairs of hands in 60 seconds,
yes.
So that there's no way you can actually track down where the child is, and they're all part of the syndicate. Now,
exactly.
Tracy, do you want to respond to that and add to the question about how they operate?
Yes, definitely. Well, first of all, there's kidnapping. You will have, as Bianca says, people will comb social media, or they will have spotters at schools that will spot and make a list of potential victims, follow these victims home, and then, as Bianca says, they watch the house, they watch your routine, your comings and goings, all that kind of thing, and they will wait for an opportunity, and they plan this very, very carefully. So that's kidnapping and being taken by force. Then you have, these young girls that go to clubs. They drug their drinks and grab them that way. Boys as well, absolutely. Then you can have victims of blackmail. These syndicates find information on maybe even high profile people, and they will blackmail, or they will use some kind of pressure point with you, and that's how they get the kids. Maybe also if you look at these mothers that sell their kids for drugs. So, it depends on what the victim is for. The method changes. But also through advertising, in terms of modeling or work, even as a call center candidate, they will advertise work opportunities or offers of modeling and acting, and false promises. They'll see a family that's really struggling, and they say, all right, I can provide work for 2 of your children. And the family willingly say, okay, fine, please take them and go and give them work. And they will never see these kids again, or these young ladies or young men. And also a promise of educational opportunities. They'll go into the poorer rural areas and say they will identify families of victims that they would like. And they will say, we will provide education for your children, we'll provide the accommodation, we'll provide the transport, we'll provide the books and everything. And the family are just too relieved that they're finally going to have children, maybe even the first generation in their family, that will be educated. So these are different forms of getting victims, of obtaining victims.
They advertise a job, and then when you and I know this is true because I tried this out for myself. I wanted to see if what I'm hearing, because I hate hearsay. I don't want to hearsay something. I don't want to hear something and then not test it out. What they do is they advertise a job on Facebook or on a WhatsApp group, with their email address, and it looks totally legit. Totally legit. They've got the proper phone numbers, they've got the proper email addresses, they've got the proper address. They even have a website with this company details that you can go to. Then once you send your CV to these people, they will reply, and they will tell you, come to this address. Once you arrive at that address, they will kidnap you and get you into slavery.
Whatever it is they needed,
Yes,
prostitution,
slavery,
whatever.
Prostitution or whatever. So many horrific messages coming through from and this one, they target women and girls, from women and girls that's gone for these interviews, and they come back out of it. Luckily, some of them come out and they tell all these horror stories. Now, in South Africa, with an unemployment rate that's so low, our youth,
so high.
so high. Yes, I'm sorry, so high. Our youth is running to these things, and that's how they get caught.
Yeah, I get it. Tracy, is there something you want to add to that?
No, that basically covers the sort of different ways that they obtain their victims.
Okay, now I just want to address the side chat. Guys, if you want to put your questions in the side chat, and I'll put them to the ladies very shortly. Now, how many cases of human trafficking are there in South Africa, Tracy?
As I explained to you earlier when we had our chat, we cannot get stats. You can forget it. Stats, as Bianca mentioned, stats, it's a nothing. What I can tell you that in 2019, the hotline reported 103 trafficking cases This is just the very tip of the iceberg. I do
Yeah.
not believe these stats. It's far too low for what's really going on. But that is basically what statistics I could come up with, because it's absolutely impossible to find statistics on human
There's
trafficking.
nothing. There's nothing.
And
Not
as I
even
said,
police.
2019, 103 trafficking cases, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was all I could find.
Bianca, do you want to add to that?
Yes, we have a contact that's in the police, and he told us straight up, do not go there, do not expose these people. I am not prepared to give you any information. So the human trafficking issue in South Africa is so protected that no matter where we go or who we speak to, we're not getting any information. It's like a book slapping clothes in our faces. We're not getting the stats. We're just not getting the stats.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, okay, so I guess it's a pretty obvious answer to this question, but why is it difficult to stop human trafficking in South Africa?
Well, first of all, our legal and South African police services are useless. That's the first thing. Second of all, poverty and unemployment is so rife. And there is just not enough people involved in this country in doing anything about it. And those that do, it's all private. It's just not governmental, because, like I keep saying, it's so hidden in this country, but the issue is so large. It's frightening. It's frightening.
Yes.
And as I've said before, you can phone CPS, you can phone Childline hotline. You don't get a response. The phone just rings. And as long as we've got unemployment and poverty and an inept and corrupt government, there is no ways that we're going to win this battle. I'm sorry. That is the reality of it at this moment.
Yes, I agree. I agree with Tracy there. And because the heads of these cartels are so high up in government, in police, in our authority in South Africa, that they are blocking, and we're not going to get statistics. But also, just to add what Tracy was saying, poverty in South Africa is making human trafficking a huge issue. Human life means nothing in South Africa. Absolutely nothing. You can walk out your gate, and I stay in a quite a safe kind of neighborhood in Joburg, but I can walk out of my gate and I could have my cell phone in my hand and someone would want it and they would shoot me dead for my cell phone. This is the reality of South Africa. They do not care about a human. They just don't. A human is just a commodity. This is how I feel about human trafficking, is that they're using humans as a commodity, because they're giving these humans out and they're getting millions and millions of rand in to buy their fancy cars and their fancy mansions, and it means nothing to them.
Now, just on that point, how much do they get for each successful kidnapped child, depending on...
I would love to know.
No information on that. We would love to know. The other thing I just wanted to add quickly to what Bianca just said, it's not just these figures of authority within the government that is involved. You've got bribery too. So you have these big Nigerian syndicates, Chinese syndicates, all that. They might not have, they might not incorporate members of government and members of authority in this country, let's put it that way. But they are paying big bucks to the authorities to turn a blind eye to what they are doing.
You know, just talking about the blind eye, I find it absolutely disgusting that the mainstream media in South Africa, and I'm talking about Anchor, SABC, you know, those sort of media outlets, they do absolutely nothing in alerting South Africans as to what is going on with human trafficking. But if you're a white person and you're alleged to have used the K word, you are news everywhere for weeks. I mean, this is how totally out of touch reporters in South Africa are with what is going on.
No, I disagree with you a little bit there, Scotty. You know, we've got to remember, we come back to what we talked about earlier on about George Soros. Mainstream media is owned by George Soros worldwide. If you go and Google George Soros and the media companies that he's got fingers in pies, every mainstream media worldwide is controlled by Soros or the rest of the cabal.
The cartel.
Okay, we took the cartel. So it's not that they are not aware of what's going on. They're very well aware of it. But they do not report on it.
It's not their
because
narrative.
They are mainstream media. No, it's not the cabal. It's not the cabal's narrative at all. I mean, you look at the suppression of media in America, in England, in Europe, all over worldwide. You can only get to real facts if you go to these, what they call the anons, or anyone linked to the anonymous. That is where you're going to start finding true information. And that's why I disagree with you a little bit there, Scotty, when you say that they are ignorant of what's going on. They're not ignorant, not at all.
Well, that's even more compelling that they're not doing their job.
No. Well, they are doing the job that they paid for, because they paid ultimately by George Soros and the cartel.
Well, it just confirms they're fake news. It just confirms they're fake news. Now, Bianca, do you want to add to this?
No. Tracy said it well. Okay. I agree with her 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I find it infuriating the way that things are so misreported in South Africa. Now, how can projects support victims of human trafficking in South Africa?
Well, okay, that's I can
I'll
answer
get
you
Bianca
that.
to answer first. Yeah, carry on, Bianca.
Yeah. So as Vrouwenkrag South Africa, our goal in all of, sorry about the glasses, I'm blind.
Ditto.
as Vrouwenkrag South Africa, our goal is to get people together and work as one. This is our biggest goal: to get MPOs, to get researchers, to get professional people, doctors, anybody with that has a little bit of savvy, a little bit of a brain, that has got something behind his or her name to support us in this cause. Because we as Vrouwenkrag, we're gonna get people together to do all the research, to get people together, to get the correct statistics. We want to do a worldwide thing. We want everybody to just join us in the fight against this. We believe that if everybody join us and if everybody takes hands, we could actually make a difference. So this is what we want to do. We want to try and make this thing as huge as we can with regards to awareness, so that people can understand what is going on. We want to get people involved to maybe, give a hug for a child that was in this, or donate. donate so that we can carry on with our,
Yeah.
get representatives to us to put our work out there. Get people that's willing to go undercover and get the real story behind the story. To establish volunteers, because we need volunteers, because this is such a big story. And we want to build bridges. You have this person doing her bit or his bit, and we have this person doing his bit and her bit. And what we're trying to do right now is take every single little organization out there and put them under one. You are still you. You're going to still do your thing, but as one. Can we tackle this problem as one people, to go forward and get solutions, get the research, get the resources to be able to help these, get the money together to be able to help these people, so that we can give them a better life, so that they can heal and be let out in society. Normal. Well, he'll never be normal, but as normal as possible.
Right.
Our life. That's our objective. Sorry.
Right.
Word missing there now.
Okay, Tracy, do you want to add to that?
Yes, in fact, just before we started with the live streaming, I was talking to Leonie, and she was telling me that one of the things that we would like to do with human trafficking is to set up a proper call center,
Yes.
an effective call center where tips in terms of, listen, I've heard about these people operating here with human trafficking, and victims that have come out or managed to escape. It's pointless phoning the cops. It's pointless phoning these helplines that are advertised all over the place, but you get no reaction. So Vroue Krag actually want to get people together so that we can start a proper call center with well-trained people operating the call center.
Yes.
And then from there, flow down into the MPOs that can provide shelter, psychological help, training skills into doing something that they can, once that they can get onto their own 2 feet, they've got marketable skills. Get the professional members, the farmer members, all the members of all these different groups to provide employment for all these victims.
Employment is key. Yeah.
And this will also start solving the poverty and the unemployment problem. But we need serious help. And when I mean serious help, I mean big help
Serious
from the
help.
international countries in helping us form this project and proceed with this project. And for that, we need money. That's at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. We need the resources in order to start making a difference with this whole issue.
Now, Bianca, you're the secretary of Vroue Krag. Now, how do people contact Vroue Krag if they want more information about this?
Vroue Krag has a beautiful website. It's called omnioperators.org/Vroue Krag South Africa.
Wow.
There you
can you
read.
Can you write that into the side chat on Skype later? Not now. No, not now. No, later. And I'll put it below the video in the description because it's a long one. Just repeat it again, please, that website.
It's omnioperators.org/Vroue Krag South Africa.
Okay, now for people who are not aware, Vroue Krag is spelled VROUEKRAG.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. South Africa. And it's not the sea.
Oh,
It's the Africa, like in Afrikaans.
so it's one word, Fraukrach, South Africa, one word.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'll write it for you.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
And,
various Facebook pages. We have an anti-human trafficking page. We have our head page for Fraukrach.
what's that called on Facebook?
It's Fraukrach South Africa.
Okay, well, that's probably an easier way for people to contact you. Now,
Yes, and it will come up, yeah.
Sorry
yeah, carry
to
on,
interrupt.
Tracy.
We do have anti-human trafficking page on
Facebook as well.
I think I did send you the links to those yesterday, Scotty.
Yeah, I actually tried to access them, and they for some reason I couldn't get into them.
Oh, really?
But
because
don't worry
I did
about it
test
now.
them.
We'll sort that out later. Okay,
Yes.
now,
Okay.
one of the aspects we haven't talked about yet is the ages of people that get trafficked, because obviously babies are trafficked for their organs. They're trafficked for the adrenochrome. And then you've got older people, when I say older, you know, women in their 20s who might be trafficked for prostitution. So that you've got different people being trafficked for different reasons. Now, I think, Tracy, you said earlier that when you hit about 40, they lose interest in trafficking you because your organs aren't really as good as they could be. They can get a much younger person in their 20s who's got a great heart, you know, so there's an age limit, isn't there? Do you want to take us through, and I'll start with you, Tracy, take us through the ages and what reasons they traffic people.
Okay, well, again, babies are I think, one of the big things because of the adrenochrome. Illegal adoptions is a big one, and the what we call the multi-murders and sacrificial rituals.
That's,
you know, whether it's satanic or that's correct, and satanistic groups.
Yeah.
So that is what the babies would be for. Then you get your toddlers up until your 10-year-olds. Quite often, for the same reasons as babies, also into forced marriages is another big thing. Organ harvesting, adrenochrome again. Also for multi-murders, you know, each sort of age has got a specific use.
Right.
Then you've got your tweens and your teenagers. That's for your sexual trafficking. Again, your organ trafficking. Those are also predominant in the armed forces, as I mentioned earlier, particularly the boys. And then forced labor itself. You know, they get sent to plantations where they've got to pick coffee beans or whatever the case may be. Then you've got your late teens to your 20s, perfect for prostitution,
labor,
baby farms, baby farms where they are forced to be pregnant constantly and producing babies.
Wow.
And then for for pornographic movies, and snuff films. Now, snuff films, I don't know if everybody knows what a snuff film is, but it's a sexual video where the woman is subjected to rape and then killed on video. And this is part of the deep dark web, especially.
It's shocking.
Okay. So, to be honest, they probably could use babies and little toddlers and tweeners and teeners and 20s and into the 30s. I would say that 35 would probably be your maximum age.
Because you're not pretty enough anymore.
Or strong enough in terms of forced labor. You know,
it sounds horrible.
After 35, people don't really produce babies that easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, your commodity is from birth to about 35 for all those reasons.
Wow. Well, I have to say you're both pretty, and I know you're both
Thank
over
you.
35, so you're outside the human trafficking
Oh,
world.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Believe me, if they try to kidnap me, they'll send me back straight away.
Yes, I've got a mouth, and so does she.
Oh, absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
okay. How do people who are listening to this live stream, how do they avoid becoming a victim of human trafficking in South Africa?
My thing will be my big thing, my passion, and everyone have their own passion. My passion is stop posting your pictures on social media. Just stop. Stop it. If your school insists they want to put your child on their website, say no. If you don't let your child have a phone when it's 10 years old and posting pictures, do not post your baby's pictures wherever. Just social media for me, and this is just my opinion, but it's horrific. I go onto
It's a
Facebook every
shopping
now and
cart.
again. Yes, and I'm looking at all these mommies that spoke, and I understand. I'm a mother too, and when my boys were small, I was proud of them, and I wanted to show their pictures to everybody. But just don't do that. Just don't. Don't post your kids' pictures on social media. That's my big thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Tracy would say, but that's my big thing. Just don't do it. Don't. Stay away from it.
Tracy, what about you?
I'm going to expand on the social media. It's not just about posting pictures. A lot of people's profiles are wide open. So
Let me call Tracy again. Okay, let's just look at the side chat. What's happening here? Yeah, isn't this a shocking topic about the way kids are just and young people are just trafficked and the abuse? It's just absolutely horrific. I'm just going to try Bianca, see if we can get her on. Hi, Bianca.
Hello.
You're back. For some reason, I lost both of you at the same time.
No, we also lost you now. My phone's doing funny. Something funny.
There you are. You got it.
Waiting.
It did it for a second. There you are. Leave it. That's perfect. There you go.
Leaving it.
Yeah. Now let me try and get Tracy on as well.
Okay.
Okay. We're getting close to wrapping up the live stream, but there are a couple of questions people have asked, which I'd like to put to you.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay. I'll just get Tracy on.
Multitasking, yeah.
I know all about it when I do live streams, believe me.
Phone. I have to look after my women's groups. I can't not say hello.
Now, while we're waiting for Tracy to come on, here's Tracy.
hi, I'm back. I'm
Hi,
back.
Tracy.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened either, but you're back. That's the main thing. Now, okay, I'm going to put this question to both of you. Right now, you've got a barbaric military organization called ISAC, which is Islamic State Africa Corps, which are in the northern part of Mozambique and places like Palma. And I take it from what you guys are saying, a lot of the people who are now fighting alongside them are probably children that have been kidnapped and been forced to actually use guns. I see you nodding, you're both nodding your head. Tracy, do you want to just respond to that first?
You're absolutely correct on that. If people look back on the rebellion, the rebel armed forces in a lot of the African countries, they will see that a lot of their soldiers are children.
Young, yeah.
There have been documentaries made about it. There've even been movies made about it where these kids are forced, these soldiers come into the towns and they just grab the kids, particularly the boys, not so much the girls. The girls, they might take a few girls, but they become like servants. They are servants. But the boys are forced into military conflict. They're forced to carry these AK-47s and assault rifles, and they are forced to become soldiers, and they're brainwashed, to the point
Yeah.
where they hate what they are supposed to shoot. Whereas when they were innocent little kids, they would never have thought
Yeah.
of something like that.
So they get indoctrinated. Bianca,
Absolutely.
Yeah, they don't know anything else. Yeah, this is what they know, and this is what they accept as the correct thing to do, as the norm.
Normal.
So that's how they're
Yeah.
acting out. They don't know anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a couple of questions here for you. I'm just going to run past you. Dan Berryman asked, surely kidnapping is still on the law books? And, when you said that the police and the justice system do nothing about it. Tracy, I see you smiling. Tell me what the answer to that is.
Yes, it's on the law book, but the law in this country means nothing. Sorry,
It means
but
nothing.
that's the reality. You
nothing.
might get one or two that are caught and convicted, but on the level of human trafficking in this country, it's not even a drop in the ocean. Never mind a drop in the bucket. So yes, kidnapping is on the law books, and yes, it is prosecuted. But seriously, the amount of prosecutions in comparison to the amount of kidnappings that are happening on a minute by minute basis in this country, it's laughable.
It's like
Which
rape,
is why I
isn't it?
started laughing.
The
Just
rapes are
think of
just...
Absolutely, it's through the roof.
think of the case I told you about that lady that's doing the abuse to women and children. They had to go back to the police station with proof. This is the crazy part of this whole thing. They had photographs, they had the proof, they had everything. 7 times they had to go back to the police before the police actually opened a case.
That's just ridiculous.
7 times, Scott. 7
Yeah.
times. And within that 7 times, that horrible person was doing his thing and he was running around in the streets and nothing happened to him.
Yeah.
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 So this is why the law means absolutely nothing in South Africa. Nothing.
Yeah. Well,
What
okay,
would
no,
what
we
would your
aren't going to get
advice?
onto that.
Okay, this is totally from left field, but it just came into my brain. What would your advice be to tourists who are thinking of coming to South Africa with their young family?
Tie them to you.
I don't want to scare tourism. I mean, this country, it's one of our biggest income earners.
Yes.
But I would definitely say, just be careful. And when you're taking your photographs with these new fancy cameras, switch the GPS location off for a
Yes.
start. Make sure that the areas that you go to are safe. I would recommend
Let go of your
traveling
child's
in
hand.
bigger groups than just one or two. And certainly, if you're coming with young children, you need to keep your eye on them 24/7.
All the time.
Do not trust anybody. Do not trust anyone.
And then
You think you can trust police and you think you can trust authoritarian figures. You cannot trust anyone. Sorry.
Anybody.
I know I seem negative. I love my country. Don't get me wrong. But but if I could get out of this country, if I could afford to and take my kids with, I would definitely, as much as I love the country, but not the government and not the people running this country into the ground.
Right.
So my advice is, please, you're welcome, but plan your holidays carefully, research the areas that you're going to, keep your children on 24/7. Any photographs taken, GPS location must be switched off. And when you're posting on Facebook, don't, you can say where you were, but don't say where you are.
Don't tag your
If
location.
if you're posting on social media.
It,
That
it,
is
sound,
my
it sounds
advice.
like Russian roulette to me, coming to South
It
Africa.
is.
Now,
Living in this country is
oh, yeah,
Russian
look, it's
roulette.
awful. I mean, I know that 90% of the people in South Africa are suffering from PTSD. They just don't know it because
No.
it's part of their lives now. Now, Bianca, is there something you'd like to add to what Tracy said?
Yes, when you're coming to, I have family from the UK and Ireland, and every time they come over, I make sure that they just be vigilant. Don't leave your child with a caregiver. Just don't. Don't go to a restaurant and let your child go play on the play in the play area, because every
Go
restaurant
to
in
the
South Africa
toilet.
has a play area for the children. Don't let your child go. In essence, do not leave your kid alone. Don't.
Not for one
Just don't.
second. Yeah.
Not for
Wow.
1 second. And this is how we live. This is our daily lives. We're so used to it. This is our normal.
Yeah.
This is our normal.
Which is
I
sad.
live in a home with a 3-year-old twins, a little boy and a little girl. And if somebody funny just stops in front of my gate, I tell you, I am there within 2 seconds. And I want to know where you're from and what you want, and I'm chasing you. This is the reality of South Africa. But also, in saying that, not everybody in South Africa is bad.
Yeah.
All I'm saying
No,
is,
of course not.
be
Yeah.
a parent. Look after your child when you come here.
Right.
Make sure you try and not even just your child, your own safety. Don't go and go into because I hear this thing that everybody wants to go see the squatter camps. Stay away from that. It's
From
dangerous
the
in there.
locations.
And the locations, I hear
Muscle on.
overseas people would love to go and see. Stay away.
They'd
It's
like to go
not
and
a good.
see Kailisha or something like that.
That's right.
Yes.
Soweto and Alexander. And yeah. Stay away.
Yeah, don't go there. Just don't. It's dangerous. It's a horrible place to go into. Stay in the big cities where you have control over where you're going.
Not in
Where you
Johannesburg.
No.
No, I'm from Joburg, so no.
Hillbrow is just a disaster.
Oh, no, no,
Yes.
no. Don't even think about going to Hillbrow or any of the surrounding suburbs. The other thing is when you're traveling in your vehicle, you need to be super vigilant as well.
Yeah.
We have a lot of car hijackings.
Yeah, close your windows when you're driving down the road. I know, it sounds ridiculous. It really does. And I can still remember a time in my life where I would get into my car, open all the windows, and blast music going down the road because that's now my chill time. Do not do that in South Africa.
Yeah.
Do not open your windows and
And have your
stand by
doors
a
locked.
Yes, at all times. Have your doors locked. Close your windows. No matter how hot it is, close your windows. There's an aircon. Put your
I
aircon on.
remember, I'll relate to a story that happened to me back in 2007. I went to see the reporter at the Star in Johannesburg, and we agreed to meet on the steps of the Star. And I drove up to where we'd agreed to meet, and he approached the car and he looked through my window, and on this seat I had my camera bag and I had something else, I think a computer. And he looked at this with horror and he said, "You are a bloody idiot." And he said,
Yes.
"Put those in
Agree.
your boot now and don't leave
Agree.
anything around that's going to catch the
Agree.
attention of these guys because they're everywhere."
Agree.
Well, this is
Ladies
actually what
must
I
put
was
their
about to say.
handbags in the boot, and do not sit on
Yes.
your cell phone because that's a distraction.
Yeah. Tracy,
Don't
you
sit
were
on
going
your
to say something?
Tracy.
No, I was just going to say, you know, if you've got a handbag or a briefcase, put it under the seat, out of line of sight.
Yeah.
Don't, you know, even as a passenger, it happened to me. I was driving in Springs one day. I wasn't driving, somebody else was driving. I was in the front seat. My window was open about 6 inches because it was an old car and there was no aircon and it was hot.
Yeah.
And 1 second, I was busy looking for directions for the driver. And the next thing, I just see this black hand come in and my phone was gone. And before I could even turn around to see where this guy was, he was gone. He was gone. So
It's
even
gone,
as a passenger, do not sit with a phone in your
Yeah.
hand.
And you were lucky that he didn't carjack.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely, because we were stopped at a robot.
Yeah. Now, Nat Quinn, who runs our forum, and she's doing a fantastic job, has said links are posted on the lovinglifetv.com forum for Vrou Krag South Africa. So that people can go to the forum
Awesome. Thank you so
and they
much.
can just click on those links in the forum. Okay,
Thank you
now
so much.
I've got one final question for you here that's come through. I hope I haven't missed any other questions, but I've been absolutely disturbed by what I've heard tonight. Viking Boer says, questions, 2 issues. First, trading on the dark web. Do they use cryptocurrency like Bitcoin? And 2,
Yes, they do.
selling of human flesh to others who eat it. If it is too sensitive, I understand. Do you want to respond to that, Tracy?
Yes. Cryptocurrency is big in the dark web, very big. But not just cryptocurrency, trading. And I'm
You
talking
have
about
got
not in
Yes.
cryptocurrency or anything. I'm talking about trading in humans.
Yes.
Trading, you know, or I will trade you so many blonde-haired, blue-haired girls for X amount of weapons or X amount of drugs. That's what I mean by trading.
Wow.
The other thing about human flesh, big time. I touched on the subject of adrenochrome. We've touched on the subject of ritual sacrifices. Eating of human flesh is part of that. It's big, 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 big.
I
big time.
saw a shocking video just last week, which was taken at Palma, where you had these ISIS guys or ISAC guys with pangas, and they were literally chopping legs and arms off dead bodies, I guess, to make food. It's just, you can't believe the barbarism. You know, that's cannibalism.
Yes,
Human life has no, they don't care. They just don't care. Human life means nothing.
It's just human life is a currency. That's all it is.
You know, I'm a total coward. I'm a total coward when it comes to blood. I find I'm flat out killing a fly by squashing it. But, you know, if it comes to a bigger animal, there's no way on this earth that I could slit, for example, a chicken's throat. I couldn't do that. You know, and here these people are, oh, God, some of the things I've seen are just, they're just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting doesn't cover it. Barbaric doesn't cover it. Inhumane, it doesn't
evil.
cover it.
It's evil.
It's just pure, unadulterated evil. And we are living in a very evil world. And there are lots of us who are trying to bring light into the darkness.
Yeah.
But we need
help. And that's why we're calling on people. We need more.
Yeah. We need more soldiers. And I don't mean military soldiers. I mean
God soldiers.
God
soldiers.
we need people to start uniting.
Yeah.
You know, just a quick thing. I constantly post, or not constantly, but I often post a picture of a table where I call them the cabal, are sitting around the table with humans underneath it, supporting the table. And it says all it takes is for these people to stand up and the cabal is finished. And this is what we're trying to do. We are trying to unite the light bringers and the light givers so that we can shine the light into the dark.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Now, Bianca, there's something you'd like to say on this?
Yes. Just like just to add on to what Tracy was saying is that our big thing as Vrouwenkrag is we want to unite our people. We want to bring light into our people's life. We want people of our God-given people. We want them to unite with us. We're not saying, give up whatever you are doing, but we want to take hands. That's what we want to do. We are looking for people that are thinking the same way as us, and they want to make a difference in our lives, in other people's lives. And we're calling out to all these people to unite with us. Go to our website, register. I promise you will talk to me eventually. I promise you will speak to Leonie Boyson, our head of our organization. I promise you will speak to Tracy. Somewhere along the line, you will get hold of one of us, and we will, we will nurture the relationships, and we will nurture our people so that we can go forward and just build a better nation, a better South Africa, and maybe one day a better government. Who knows? We feel very strongly about that point, that we just want to bring it out to the world, that join us. Let's work together. Let's fight together, because it's the good fight.
Right.
It's the good fight that we're fighting, and we will win if we take hands and we stand up together and we say enough is a bloody enough, and we are fighting this now. So we're calling on everyone, join us, and you will be rewarded.
Now, when you say everyone, Bianca, are you talking just about women, or I guess it's Vrouwenkrag? So, can men join as well?
Vrouwenkrag is, yes, men can join. I don't know. I don't see why not. I really don't see why not. But Vrouwenkrag is for the women, about the women. The whole thing came in when he started this movement, is that the women of South Africa has lost their voices. We sitting back and we're letting government and everybody else just walk over us. And if you go back into our South African history, the woman was the one that held the family together, that held the government together, and she stood there with a stick and she hit her husband's bum if he did something wrong. And we, as Vrouwenkrag, we are trying to get that back into our women. We're trying to get that that feeling of, I am proud woman, I am a strong woman.
We are empowered.
We are empowered, and in that, we are empowering our men.
Right. Okay.
That's
now,
what.
Yeah.
Tracy, over to you.
I was just going to say that it's not a women's lib kind of group, not at all.
No.
There was something I was going to say, and now it slipped my mind.
That's all right.
Old age.
I have the same thing.
Oh, yes. What I was going to say in terms of bringing the light into the dark, and what Bianca has been saying, is that there is a saying, evil will prevail when good men stand back and do nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And it's time for good people to start standing up and taking the power back and bringing the light into the darkness.
Right.
That's what I
Exactly.
wanted to say.
Okay.
That's our mission. Yes.
All right. Well, look,
That's definitely our mission.
ladies, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight on lovinglifetv.com and this live stream. Is there something you'd each like to say just in wrapping up before I shut down? I'll go over to you first, Tracy, if there's just something you'd like to say quickly.
No, I would just like to say thank you very much for this opportunity to be able to start the process of getting the word of human trafficking out into the world and into South Africa. I think it's a very important issue and it's a very
Absolutely.
critical issue. And it's time that people start waking up to what's going on around them. Be super vigilant of your surroundings. Watch your children. You know, you parents are giving your kids laptops and iPhones and tablets and all kinds of things, and there's no supervision. And in the meantime, while the parents are not supervising what these kids are doing online, these kids are being groomed. And then next thing their kid disappears and is never found again, and the parents sit back and say, what the hell happened? Where's my child? I want my child back. They're never going to get that child back. So it's time to start taking responsibility of your children and what they get up to online.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Now, Bianca, is there something you'd like to just say in wrapping up?
I'd just like to say, in short, is that join Vrouwenkrag South Africa. Just join us. Join us and let us fight the good fight. Let us try our very best. No, we're not trying. We are going to make a difference. We are a bunch of adamant people that's very passionate about a lot of subjects in our country. And we are going to make a difference. Join Vrouwenkrag. If it's in your personal capacity, you are welcome. If it's in your professional capacity, you are welcome. Donate to Vrouwenkrag's causes. There's many that we are going to attend to, but right now, just join Vrouwenkrag. Let's take hands. Let's stand up together and let's shine some light into this dark, dark world of ours.
Okay, fantastic. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining us on lovinglifetv.com. I'm just going to turn to the side chat for a moment. Guys, especially the moderators, thanks for doing the excellent work you always do in the side chat, and thank you for those who've joined us tonight. This is a very disturbing subject. There were some things that I learned tonight that I was not aware of, and I'm just horrified by how evil the world is. It's awful. You know, we live in a bubble. We don't realize what's going on outside.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much, Scotty.
Thank you,
We
thank you,
appreciate
Scott
your
and
You're
time.
very welcome, ladies. And look, I will send you the link to this live stream in a couple of hours. The reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to take this live stream. Actually, I might leave it on the YouTube channel I'm using because it hasn't had a community strike yet. But what I will do is I will actually copy it and put it on lovinglifetv.com as well, because I know how the YouTube thought police work, and because we referred to some elite people.
And controversial issues, subjects,
controversial
yes.
issues, yes, exactly.
Go to jail for YouTube or Facebook or whatever. I'm not scared of them.
Yeah, I'm not scared of them, but it really is irritating when they give you a community strike. Yeah.
Very, very irritating. You're right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm going to wrap up now. Please have a safe evening. If you got kids, you've heard what these ladies have had to say. Keep your eyes on them 24/7 if you're in South Africa. The world has changed to a very bad place. All right, I'll leave the side chat open for a few minutes so people can say their goodbyes. But in the meantime, take care and bye for now.
Bye, Scotty. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.